Yo, Counter Attack podcast with myself, Daps. Guys, keep liking, subscribing, sharing, all of that good stuff. Fix this microphone. Right. Where we at? I recorded something the other day, and when I went to edit it, the sound was just off, man. And yeah, we're not doing that. So here I am, back with another one. I thought I'd wait till the matches are done in terms of the Champions League matches, and we're gonna get straight into it because I've got. I don't know whether I should release that one or not. Yeah, I've got one that I'm thinking to release. But anyway, I went to the Nigeria camp once again. Went out there with them. I was out there with them for the Rwanda match, chilling with the players as always. You know, getting some good content. I just need to edit it and put that out. But yeah, listen, let's get straight into it. Champions League. Listen, where do I start? Obviously, Real Madrid got beat by Liverpool today. Shall I start there? Do you know what? I'll start there. So when you look at the Real Madrid team that showed up today at Anfield for the Liverpool match, Real Madrid were obviously missing key players. But first of all, I didn't want to put that as an excuse because teams always have injuries, you know. I don't really like it, even when it's Arsenal. Wouldn't like to just put it down to injuries. But they were key injuries. We're talking about Vinicius, Rodrigo, Tchouaméni's out, Carvajal's out, Militao's out. There's someone else that I'm missing. I can't remember though. But yeah, so you know they were down to their bare bones and you know, Liverpool pretty much a full strength team, I believe, outside of Trent. So you always felt like Liverpool at Anfield were probably going to do the job today. And I have to say that, you know, obviously they won the match, but they fully deserved the match. Real Madrid didn't really lay a glove on Liverpool. I felt like Liverpool controlled the match. If Liverpool upped it by 20%, they would have really, you know, made that result sure. Made it a sure result way sooner. But the thing I want to talk about here is Mbappe. I mentioned before about Mbappe. I forgot who it was that left a comment on that podcast where I'm like, listen, he needs to. I'm not saying he's rubbish, never ever. I'm not saying any of that about Mbappe, but Mbappe needs to buck up his ideas. And the reason why I say that is because yes, he is the person that everyone's just going to use as a scapegoat for things. And my angle when it comes to Mbappe is very different to a lot of people's. I still think Mbappe is that guy. I still think Mbappe is obviously a world-class player. It's not working for him currently at Real Madrid, but what is really annoying me, and you know what, the whole it not working for him right now has got, look, I understand he needs to do better, and I'm okay to just leave it as that. The thing that irritates me though is that when you watch him, like against Liverpool, when you watch him off the ball, he is just not interested. He's just not interested in doing anything off the ball. And I think that when you're up against it, especially when, you know, there are key players missing through injury, the onus is on you. So Bellingham, I don't think Bellingham really had a great game. But the thing about Bellingham is a willing runner. He will continue to do the right things or try and do the right thing. If it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off. Those things happen in football. Mbappe is not even interested. And it really annoys me because if that is me, and if that is someone on my team and, you know, they're lounging around and they're not putting in, you know, they're not doing the dog work, they're not in the trenches with you when you are in the trenches, it will just really, really annoy me and really, really frustrate me. And the worst bit is that when the ball's actually coming to you, you're not doing anything with it. He already looks like he's lost half a yard of pace. I just don't know. And if he's not careful, then white flags are going to be waving very, very soon. He missed a penalty. I don't think it was a great penalty. Kelleher, best number 2 in the league, saves it. But he just needs to really, really sort it out because we've already seen what the Madrid fans are like over the years. You know, when it comes to players who especially aren't from Madrid, aren't Spanish, you know, they don't have time for them. And then white flags come out way sooner. And if Mbappe doesn't fix up, if he doesn't sort out the other side. 'Cause I think fans can forgive when things aren't going well for you. But when you're not even doing the bare minimum, when you're not doing the bare minimum with helping your team out, running to defend, running to try and make runs and get the ball, when you're not even doing any of that, it's unforgivable. It's unforgivable. So, yeah, that's what I didn't like. But again, I'm not going to sit here and be like, he's a rubbish player. No. But just try. And I don't even want to keep harping on, but it is so frustrating. You know, you got that left back that came, I think, is his name Fran Garcia, maybe? That came on for Mendy. You got him that came on. And he's just an honest worker. Do you get what I'm saying? I felt like when he came on, he actually had a good game and he did well against Salah. And he got forward a bit. Honest worker. You know, I've mentioned Bellingham already. Modric. Modric ain't got the legs of the people around him. But do you know what? You still see him putting it in. You still see him getting about. So there's no excuse for someone at the age of 36, 37 who ain't as quick and, you know, in terms of a physical presence, ain't got that. There's no excuse for you to not do that. Who's young blood, fresh, eager to please, you know, £100 million player, however much you cost. There's no excuse for you to not do that. By the way, Modric, player. Camavinga, big player. Big player, man. He's so good. And I think a lot of the time when we talk about Real Madrid and their Galacticos, we don't really talk about Camavinga because he's almost like an unsung hero. There's a Makelele-esque type thing with him, not in regards to what they do, like the job they do on the pitch, but more in terms of going under the radar and not getting as much praise as the bigger name players on that team when you're equally as important. So, yeah, I felt like he was really, really good. So, Curtis Jones again. Now, if we go back on this pod, I'm going to try to find tweets to say this, but if we go back on this pod, we will see that I've always been a big fan of Curtis Jones, but I feel like Curtis has gone on to, he just kicked it on a bit, and he's added that extra layer, that extra level of consistency to his game. And I think sometimes we expect, especially young players, to just be ready-made. We expect them to just have it always. We don't expect them to go through ups and downs when that's not reality. That's not real life when it comes to football. You're going to, especially when you're developing, you're going to be in and out of the team. You're going to have dips in form, but it's all part of your development. Whereas in today's world, that's not allowed. And I think Curtis Jones has been able to have those ups and downs and basically just ignored the noise. And he's lucky that he's played with Klopp and now playing with Arne Slot, and they're giving him license to actually go out and play, and they're trusting him now. And now we're seeing him, you know, perform consistently at a very, very high level to the point where he's one of their most important players, him and Gravenberch. Gravenberch had an excellent game again today. McAllister, good game. Liverpool were good, man. Liverpool were good. And I'm telling you, people in Europe, people in the Champions League, they're not going to want to face Liverpool, especially when they got a full team. They're not going to want to face them. And what was impressive about Liverpool today is that I keep saying that Liverpool will give you a chance or two. They won't shut off the game. They won't close it out. They will always just give teams a chance. Against Real Madrid today, none of that. They didn't give them a sniff. You know, Real Madrid had a couple half chances, obviously the penalty as well. But Kelleher didn't make his first save until near enough 90 minutes. He didn't make his first save until the match outside of the penalty. And you know, going forward, they're just such a threat. Mo Salah absolutely finished Mendy. Pause. He absolutely finished him. And missed the penalty, but nothing's going to be said about that because obviously they won the game and Mo Salah's been banging in the goals. And well, it's funny because nothing gets said about his, but then I'm pretty sure tomorrow in Spain, Mbappe with his missed penalty, he's going to be the scapegoat for the loss. But he wasn't great at all. And I think the only concern is that at the end of the match, Konate did go down with an injury, and I saw him at full time. They looked quite concerned. So hopefully, for Liverpool's sake, you know, he's fit. And is Joel Matip still at the club, or am I imagining that? Is Matip still at the club? But anyway, they're not going to want to miss him because him and Van Dijk have been really, really good this season. And you know what? Robertson, let me say this about Robertson. Robertson looks like, for the first time since he's been at Liverpool, he's having a little dip in form. And it's interesting seeing the reaction to his dip in form, because I think that, it happens to everybody. It happens to everybody. But how people talk about Robertson like he's I've been seeing a couple of things. Oh, Robertson again. Oh, Robertson needs to get out of the team. I'm seeing a lot of that kind of stuff. There are still people who, if it's a mistake, it's a mistake. But the grace for Robertson right now isn't there. And I'm starting to think if maybe it's a bit more than just a dip. And I've just not been seeing that it's been going on for a long time. Because for me, it's just a recent thing. But because of the reaction, I'm starting to think, has this been going on longer? And has Robertson actually been off it since last season as well? Because how else would you explain, people's reactions considering everything Robertson has done? They're not treating it like just a blip. It's like, get out of the team. Robertson again. So, yeah. And Kelleher, I mentioned it earlier on, best number two in the league. They're gonna struggle to keep him next summer, I believe, especially because they've signed that goalkeeper for next year, which means one of them is leaving, either Kelleher or Alisson. And Kelleher knows by now that he's done enough to be a number one somewhere. Maybe not in front of Alisson, because Alisson is Alisson, but he definitely should be number one somewhere. We've seen his Republic of Ireland's number one. In terms of number two, I don't see a number two keeper anywhere in the league as good as him. And he's good enough to be a club's first team keeper. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with him. I don't think they will keep him. I think Liverpool probably know. That's why they brought in that keeper for next year. Or maybe even Alisson's going to leave and they brought in that keeper for next year. So, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see what happens there. Next up, we have Man City. Listen, Man City obviously lost 5 in a row. They've now drawn this game, which means they have not won in 6 games. It's funny, because when you say they haven't won in 6 games, it makes it sound like, a couple draws in there, whatever. But 5 defeats and 1 loss. 5 defeats and 1 draw is ridiculous. And to be 3-0 up against, who did they play? Feyenoord, PSV? Who did they play? Feyenoord. To be 3-0 up against Feyenoord and still draw that game 3-3, I think it speaks to where Man City are right now. And I think when you look at the Man City team, there's a lot of aging players there who have, during the best years of their careers, it's kind of coincided with, the last couple of years where Man City have performed at such a high level. Do you get what I'm saying? And a couple of them players are just looking a bit tired, looking like they may be past their best. Not finished. They're not done, but they're past their best. We're talking about De Bruyne's. We're talking about Gundogan struggling to show that high level. We're talking about Bernardo Silva. And I don't blame them. You've been playing for so long at such a high level that at some point that level is going to come down. But the issue I have are the players that are coming through. When you're looking at the Foden's not doing enough for me. I'm not going to say too much about Phil Foden because people think that I don't like Phil Foden. But I just think he needs to be held accountable for some of his performances. But for whatever reason, in those 6 defeats, in that loss, in those 5 defeats, in the draw against Feyenoord, he always goes under the radar. So, yeah, it's about time people called him out because he's supposed to be the guy that is going to take the mantle and keep the levels high for years to come. He's the person that they're going to build the team around. But I just don't see it because when all these players were performing at their high level and you were just a part of that team, you looked good. And now that those players maybe can't or are not doing it at that high level, you're unable to still maintain certain levels. So, him, you're looking at the Grealishes, obviously, no. You're looking at Savino. I think Savino will be good in years to come, but just not right now. Do you know what I mean? You're looking at the defence and they've got that young boy coming through. You've got Rico Lewis. Walker's looking a bit out of it, out of sorts. So it's an aging team. It's an aging team, and I just don't know. I just don't know how they will change it. They might go in the market in the summer, but but also there's form, because one thing about football, once confidence comes back, you know, these things could quite easily change. Do you get what I'm saying? And these players, as much as I'm saying this, these are still quality players. De Bruyne has got the ability to just switch it on just like that. And this weekend they play Liverpool, and boy, I can't lie to you, it might be on top for Man City. It might be on top for Man City, especially with the way Liverpool are playing. Liverpool are going to go into that game high on confidence, knowing that right now, they're going to go high on confidence, knowing that right now they can play any team and come out and win that game. Man City are wounded animal though. They're wounded, and by wounded, I'm talking about bad, like roadkill wounded right now. But they've still got the players that can, make something happen. They still got the players that can get it over the line. So it'll be interesting, because 7 games without a win will be crazy for a Pep team, for this Man City team. But then again, this Liverpool game could not come at a worse time for them. But they might just raise it in time. So we'll see. We'll see what's going on there. Right, Arsenal. Listen, great away performance from Arsenal. I went into that game, as if I'm the one playing, I went into that game thinking, this is going to be a tough game. Arsenal away, there's something about them where they just struggle with these Champions League away games. And I thought this was going to be one of them, especially with how Sporting performed against Man City. But it wasn't that at all. It was not that at all. What we got was Arsenal coming out straight and just applying the pressure and playing their game from the get-go. Do you get what I'm saying? And then obviously they got the first goal kind of early. They got the second goal. And at the heart of it all was Martin Odegaard. Right. You see Martin Odegaard, yeah? When people talk about, why do people talk about injuries? Look, injuries happen. We understand that. But when you're robbed of one of your key players for a longer period of time, it's obviously going to affect your team. We've seen it with Man City, with Rodri. We saw it with Liverpool before when they didn't have Van Dijk. It's always going to happen. Odegaard comes back, and it's no coincidence that everything just looks like it's in sync again. Do you know what I mean? Partey finally looks like, not finally, because Partey's actually had an alright season, but Partey looks a much better player. Saka looks like he's back to just being able to just focus on the output in the final third. He's not having to just do all the creating. You've got like the link-up play, like there's always something happening. And, I'm so happy that he's just back, and you can see that him being in the team, it just gives the rest of the team a lift. Gyokeres, you know what? Gyokeres, whatever his name is. As much as Saliba and Gabriel handled him, I still saw enough from him to be like, this is a good striker. He's a good striker. Do you get what I'm saying? Because there were still times, especially when Gabriel went off, there were still times where I saw and I was just like, I can see the potential here. I can see the potential. But, forget all that. Saliba locked him up. Gabriel locked him up. Did the celebration. I'm here for it. Do you get what I'm saying? And it was just a really, really good performance. I felt Timber, oh my gosh. You see Yurian Timber, yeah? I told guys about this player. Off the back of an ACL injury, he's just, and you can see that the more games he's playing, the better he's getting. Do you get what I'm saying? And I still think there's levels to go with him, because I still don't think he's fully there 100%. So in terms of fitness. So yeah, man, it was a really, really good performance to come away from that with a 5-1 victory. Saka again, his output. Listen, we have to stop. I'm going to stop talking about Saka and how good he is, because I think it's just, at this point, if anyone still doubts this guy's level, because for whatever reason, people still want to talk down on this guy's level. But I'm just going to stop talking about Saka, because if you're doubting Saka at this point, you're the problem. So look, Saka just did what Saka does. I think we know he's going to get good output, get goals and get assists. We know that from him. He's going to put performances. So I'm going to stop talking about it as if it's a new thing, because when Salah does it, I don't mention it because it's just what you expect from him. And I'm at that point now where I just expect that from Saka, man. So yes, good performances, man. And I think that should be it from me. Maybe. Yeah. But yeah, that's it. I'm back tomorrow.